Oh, dude, that's so much faster. Hey, everybody, this Life in Tech, episode 65. I'm Jason.
And I'm Dan.
Well, what I was going to say was this is the first podcast from not my new studio in North Carolina, but my new location, undisclosed, but in the state of North Carolina. That's right. You correct me.
The northern end of the province of Carolina.
This will be the sovereign territory of Carolina. That will be my governor platform. I don't know when. Several years in the future. It more than likely I'll consider it. But yeah, the sovereign territory of Carolina. Dude, this internet is so good. I couldn't believe it. I got the basic package with the same company that I have in California. And in California, I have the top tier package. And it's infinitely better here. Infinitely. And I'm on wireless. When I was in my home office in California, I was on wired Ethernet. Dude, I'm done with that state. There's nothing good to say about it except bye.
Dude, I was just reading an article today that said if you're in California, if you use in a household more than like 50 gallons of water, you could be fined 10 grand.
Dude, it's been like that for years. We've had to ration.
And people want to know why California can't split from the rest of the union. Because we won't give you any water.
That's right. Well, so California is like, what, fifth GDP globally?
Something like
right?
that.
It's fifth. It's definitely in the top five, and I think it's fifth right now. Massive ports, man, up and down the state. Why can't you figure out how to build water desalination plants? Because that technology well exists, and it's rather efficient. Why do you want to depend on the Colorado River, which Southern California does?
I think it's the cost. My understanding is that desalination, the cost is extremely high.
It is, but you have the fifth largest GDP globally.
Well, those that have money don't want to spend money.
Well, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Well, to segue maybe a little bit into our topic, they're afraid of failure.
Yeah, sure.
So they don't want to try.
If you started down that path, you would figure out how to make it cheaper and more efficient and to automate it.
That's right. Well, because, actually a good analogy for that, and it just dawned on me, is this, pardon me, man, this beer is strong. This is from a local brewery here in North Carolina, the sovereign territory of Carolina, the northern section of that. It's a very tasty porter.
It's Sunday, so it's Sweet Baby Jesus from Duke.
Hey, there you go. Like a good Episcopalian.
Except I'm not Episcopalian.
I know. What the hell was I saying? Oh, so like the current buzz about Tesla and Elon Musk, and people are shitting all over Tesla. What they don't realize is that dude doesn't care that he's failing. He uses that to inform his next steps. You can't say the guy is like a serial failure. PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX. That doesn't mean he doesn't have individual failures.
You only learn from failing, right? I mean, here's the thing. And this is what I think many people still don't understand. And I didn't understand it until I was in the middle of the doctoral process. I'm no longer care about being right. I just need to figure out, am I going to accept or reject the null hypothesis?
Right. Where am I wrong? Because certainly I'm wrong somewhere at some point.
Right. And I've even found out when I win, I need to figure out what I could have done better. Everything I take as a learning opportunity. A win, I don't ever consider as a true win. Not unless I get across the screen like in Mortal Kombat. Flawless victory. Until I get that coming across the screen, I'm just not accepting it.
Well, I think it was in the mid-50s episode, we talked about this will to win and the need to compete. And for me, that's really what it is. I certainly don't want to hurt people. And I'm not out and I know you're not either, although sometimes I think you like to pretend you are. In a Machiavellian sense to like shank people, or is it Shiv? Ian, which one is it?
He doesn't know.
Yeah, I know, man. And that guy thinks he's gonna sword fight me. You got to know the right verb first, bro. What do you? That's what I like about competition. Is I don't want to compete to beat people. It's not about that, because a win is meaningless to me. What I want to find out is where am I weak, where's my deadwood, and how do I burn it away? How do I get better? That's the whole point of it. And in order to figure that out, you have to encounter failure. And if you're not failing, that to me means you're not engaging in, let's say, difficult enough challenge.
Yeah, you're not pushing yourself. How do you know what your limits are? If you don't know your limit, then how do you know whether or not you've achieved enough? I mean, it does not matter. This is like, I'll take the yoga example. All right, in yoga, you could be doing whatever pose you want. And now I subscribe to Bikram yoga. And in his philosophy, it doesn't matter if you can get that leg back behind your head or not. Because if you can get it behind your head and you're not taking it back behind your head, you gain zero benefit. Versus the person who can only get it to the middle of the back and they're striving to get past the middle of the back, they receive 100% benefit. So right. Until you have pushed yourself beyond what you believe your limits are to where you just can't do any more, that's not enough.
Well, that's what I find so interesting, man. If you just look around at the world, clearly as a species, we're capable of monumental achievement, physically and intellectually. I don't know that there's one thing that we as a species have set out to say, even in fiction, this is something we have or will have. And inevitably we get it. Some things take longer than others. There's a lot of failure. Look at the space program. I mean, sure, the loss of life is horrible and it's tragic. I'm surprised more space shuttles haven't blown up. I'm surprised more planes haven't crashed. People take for granted, myself included, flying a lot, right? Like you.
Right.
How difficult it is to actually get something up into the air and fly it across the country. That's not trivial, man. But it's so normative now that it seems trivial. But there was a lot of failure along the way. Of course, now being in the sovereign territory of Carolina, the origin of the White brothers, and my original state, Ohio, being like Patterson Air Force Base, where they came from. I mean, dude, you got to fail. And our Twitter friend Jesus pointed out that let's just agree that it's a fake. Yep. The letter of rejection to Einstein when he applied for a professorship, and the notion was that his idea was too controversial or too outside of the frame. Where do you think progress is made? Progress isn't made within the status quo, in my opinion. Progress is made when you're knee deep in the swamp, so to speak. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's take Stephen Hawking. There were people that got up and walked out of his defense because they thought this is absurd, and there were other people that stood up and applauded. People need to stop being afraid to put out their ideas, because how else are you going to fine tune them? I mean, we joke about your idea of privacy, but there's some aspects of it to where as you continue putting it out there and fine tuning it, maybe you're onto something, maybe you're not. But how do you know until you've gone all the way through everything possible? The people that are afraid to put out their idea, those are the ones that really lose. Getting rejected? I got rejected by Northwestern. I don't care. However, every company I go to, anyone that worked for me that went to Northwestern, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to let you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, karma's
every action has a benefit or a consequence.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, look, man, I mean, you remember this. I think I talked to you about this. This was several years ago. I applied at Cal Poly. I applied at Fullerton College, and I didn't get those positions. I mean, ultimately, the Cal Poly one I didn't want. The Fullerton one, I was actually kind of interested in seeing how it played out, but I didn't get them. So what, man? It's not an attack on me as a person. It's not an attack on my character. I find it a little mysterious because there was no explanation, but that's a completely different thing. But those events really, like your rejections, made me step back and think, okay, well, what's happened and how am I going to deal with it? Because I have to move forward. What am I going to do? So here's an interesting story for everybody about failure and the failure to accept failure and grow from it. You've set up data centers, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of physical work. It's a lot of intellectual work to plan it out before you get the gear there, so forth and so on. So back in the day, man.
I mean, you name it.
Yes, man. It's work. And so back in the day, at a company I worked at, we were moving data centers from one that was basically a large wiring closet to actually a true IBX, right? I mean, really high end, because we had grown. And somebody got assigned this task, and they were to go down and set the racks up, set the rails up, because the idea was that when we're going to take the gear from place A to place B, we just wanted to bring it in and be able to slot it in. All the cables were supposed to be there labeled and just plug it in, bam, 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 done, right? And all of a sudden, the project's like a week late, and we're like, "Hey, why isn't the work getting done?" I mean, you're talking about putting rails and racks together and wires, and yeah, it's grunt work, and it's hard physically because you got to pull all that stuff, and it's a little intellectually demanding because it takes a lot of attention to detail. What's up? Long story short, man, we go back and we look at the video footage of what was going on in that space. Imagine the misery of this, man. Seriously, the dude that was assigned this task for a week, Monday through Friday, went down to that location, sat in a corner and put his head between his knees. And he sat there for 8 fucking hours because he didn't know what to do. He had failed, and he didn't want to admit to himself and to others that he failed and needed help. So he sat there, I'm not exaggerating, for a week. He would just show up at, like, let's say 8 in the morning, go sit down in the corner on bare concrete in a climate controlled environment. So it's cold, it's not warm. And he put his head between his knees and sat there.
I don't even know what to say to that.
That's a true story, man.
I believe it. I don't know what to say.
It's just a complete inability to deal with failure.
I can't even comprehend that. I mean, failure is just not an option in that regard. Okay, I had a setback. I had an individual failure, but that's not the end. That guy gave up.
Yeah.
That's worse.
Yeah. I mean, well, in some ways, you know, in a metaphorical way, he committed suicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, dude, sit in a corner for 8 hours a day, 5 days in a row, and in the cold on the bare concrete. Come on. But yeah, whereas, you know, so then let's take the other side of the argument maybe and talk about, okay, let's assume that letter from Jesus on Twitter is true. Okay. Clearly it didn't stop Einstein, and I don't think it would stop anybody of that character, not intellect, right? Not capacity to solve problems on that scale like Einstein did, but his character of, well, like you said before too, man. I mean, okay, so I got knocked down.
Good luck keeping me down. May the odds forever be in your favor.
Yeah. Do so at your peril.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, that's, to me, is that connection back to that earlier conversation we had several episodes ago of that's the will to win. And it's just me versus me. It really has nothing to do with anybody else. I don't mean to like hurt people's feelings with that. It's just not about them. It has nothing to do with it. I'll compete against myself endlessly. It has nothing to do with it.
All the time.
And that's why I'm the 5-time. I don't care who you put up there. And at this point, I'll be the 6th time, the 7th time, the 8th time, because I'll just keep competing against myself and winning. You don't even have to give me the plaque. I don't care.
No, I want them to continue to build the plaque.
Well, I do too, because it's like a little, yeah, you got to hand it to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to call my name.
Speaking of those kind of things, in a slight transition. Have you seen the new Solo movie?
I have not seen it yet, man. Have you?
I have. I really enjoyed it. I won't spoil it for you. All these people that are just shitting all over it. I'm like, I thought, okay, was it an amazing film? No, but it was worth the money I spent. I can't say that about like any of the Avengers movies I've seen. And I was like, I thought this was a really, really, cute film. It was interesting. And you know what? It answered a lot of little things. And there is a nice little spoiler in there, which I kind of dig. But again, I won't talk about it until you see it.
Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead. I don't mind.
Oh, well, for those that are listening at home, there's a spoiler. Darth Maul's at the end of it. So they make a really good tie-in to the Clone Wars when he comes back and he's got those like spider legs. He's in the end of the movie. Trained, Han Solo's, love interest, which was his love interest as a child. And I thought it answered a lot of things about the origins of Han Solo, and it was well worth the money for all those people saying, "Oh, this is horrible. This is horrible." You know, I think what the Disney is finding out that all of the Star Wars movies that did not include like Jedi and Sith just don't do as well.
Right.
That's really what it comes out. While Han Solo is an interesting character, what was more interesting was when he was in the mix with it all.
Yeah.
But I thought the movie was great. And the amount of times that Han Solo fails in this movie is epic because he failed like all the time. And constantly, I don't remember what the Woody Harrelson character in there was like, kid, you just don't give up. And that's what kind of, brought this to me. He just never gave up. He never wanted to know the odds and just figured out a way in the end how to succeed.
Yeah.
I thought it was I really did. It was far better than any Avengers movie, far better than Superman versus Batman. It was. Ben Affleck ruins everything.
Oh, wow. Wow. Even Jennifer Lopez.
He did. If Jennifer Lopez was like, Dan, I need you right now. I'm sorry, Ben Affleck went there. I can't do it.
Nope. No, you're right, though, man. It's not giving up. And you don't have to listen. For anybody listening, don't get this twisted. Nobody, no matter what they say, knows everything. And listen, why would you? That's why we have technology. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? So I came early to the sovereign territory of Carolina to get some things set up so then when the rest of the family shows up, it's a much smoother transition for them. And one of my tasks, in fact, it was a priority, was to replace the kitchen sink. I'm not a plumber. I have no idea what I'm doing.
You do kind of look like Luigi.
Well, when I got the stash, yeah, sure. Yeah. Right? But you know what? I know how to watch YouTube videos. I know how to go find somebody, and I did, to ask questions about certain things that I wanted to make sure I understood so I didn't massively mess something up. Because replacing the sink, one thing. Replacing pipes under the house is something completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So screw it, man. I got this sink shipped. I went and got a couple parts, and I put it in, and then I figured out I didn't get enough of the right parts, so I had to go back to Home Depot and get some more. And I got it to work, man. And at the end, I wired it all up, turned it on, and sure enough, there's a leak. Well, I failed. I didn't throw the sink away. I didn't get mad and smash it. I took a break, ate a peanut butter sandwich, had a beer, thought about it, and I just took my time and looked for where that water was coming from, and I found it. And it was simply a matter of just tightening one part, a couple screws, and done.
Yeah, I've decided to take on the project of building a bar. And I'm not doing it based on any known plans. I'm going to just, based on stuff that I find. I'm going to try and get a couple of tree stumps and cut them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lacquer it. I'm going to, stain it, lacquer it, all that, make that a part of it. Anything I can find, I'm going to make a bar out of it and just make it somewhat basically unique. Mm-hmm. The only thing that will be is it will be level. Now, for those of you that may not know me, I don't do manual labor. But I am going to do this anyway. When I used to have a lot of lizards. Mm-hmm. These little lizards that I had were called Uromastics, desert animal. The interesting thing about them is you cannot give them water. They will die. You can only give them types of lettuce, and they get their water from the lettuce. And so you had to be very particular about their heat zones. So I decided, I'm going to build the cage. Mm-hmm. I built everything. I never even used, for the most part, a saw before. So I bought a table saw, bought all the stuff. I created the ventilation. I had I had the electric going in there, the heat lamp for the day, and then the night, because the nighttime you can't make it too much. Mm-hmm. The interesting part with these lizards is that the other part is if you have a male and a female, in order to get them to go and potentially mate, you actually have to slowly decrease the daytime temperature by 30 degrees. And then you keep it that way, and then your day-night temperatures don't fluctuate as much. That forces them to go into a mating season. I didn't want to do that, but it was interesting learning all this stuff. But I had to get those heat zones on. So I built this entire thing, had stuff glowing in there. Had to research the type of paints, because in the event that as you put heat in there, the toxicity from the paint could kill them. What happens if the food goes onto the floor of the cage? What's going to get in there? So I had to research all this stuff. All available. I'm still a scientist, and I still figured it out.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm going to build a bar, and I'm going to design my plans, and it'll be a dry bar. But I mean, I'm just going to, hey, I got to put something in there because in the behind it's going to be my chest freezer of all my beers I'm tapping.
There you go.
I got to start getting it. I'm back into the brew making.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Ian, he got so trashed on my vanilla bourbon barrel stout.
Ooh, the stout. Ooh.
Now, the ninja over here has had the privilege of also getting trashed on after only a handful. It'll get you, and you don't even know it. It sneaks up on you.
That was a ninja beverage. It was stealthy and strong, man.
Oh,
when
yeah.
It had a hold of you, it had a hold. I'll never. I'm not going to forget that.
Yeah. So I got to I'm going to get this chest freezer going. I'm going to have at least 4 beers on tap, because football season's coming, and I'm not missing my games. I'm no longer going to the local bar when I can make everything at home now.
Yeah, that's right, man. And I like that. On that note, we're massively changing topics now, but there's going to be a lot of failure. I've seriously, for years now, I've been considering, and I think I'm going to do it. If we're going to continue to eat meat, I'm going hunting, and we're only going to eat what I kill.
That's a good idea. I've been thinking about that too, to be honest.
Dude, we're not that far away now.
Yeah.
There's places to go. In fact, there were places in California you can buy permits and go onto a closed ranch and hunt like deer and pig and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm serious about it, man. I'm not like super excited about killing something, but what I'm not excited about is continuing to consume what I don't know where it comes from and paying somebody else to do something that, maybe I need that experience.
Some of the things that I've been thinking quite a bit about, and we should probably do something on this, but happens to be preppers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been starting to read a little bit more and more on this, and I'm not so worried about, whether Russia or North Korea is going to send over a nuke or something like that. I am concerned that one of these clowns is going to set off an EMP.
Well, I've said this for a while now, man.
Because that kills my generator that I've got.
Yes.
It kills everything.
Yes. Well, anything that's on, sure.
Yeah.
And I've been saying this for years. And actually, you and I talked about this at DEF CON several years ago when I don't remember where it was at, but it was a new place and there was a massive crowd and it was really hard to get around. And
it was at Caesars. That's what they did it at. No. It was
the one before that.
Yeah.
Venetian?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. It was the Venetian and something else when they was between the two. Anyway, I think the metaphor of the zombie apocalypse holds in ways that people don't see. Okay? Because really what you're talking about is mass panic in public spaces. And that becomes exceedingly dangerous. Not because the zombies are going to eat you, but people are going to stampede, right? People are going to want to loot. People go nuts, of course, right? So I think there's something to be said for being prepared insofar as you're ready to respond to those types of situations. An EMP. Dude, we could easily, people forget this. I don't know if you remember this. This was early 2000s. There was a massive coronal ejection from the sun, and it knocked out cell service.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that could easily happen again, right?
Oh, sure.
And that's something that you can't control. I think to some degree we have the ability to predict it a little bit, but when it happens, it's happening. It's not like you're going to put up something to stop it, and that will create issues.
It will. And so this all comes back to this aspect of what we're talking about for failure.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? I've never hunted before, but I've gone out. I'm planning on continuing with like 3-gun competition. So I already know how to use a handgun pretty well. I've already got that. According to Ian, I'm no longer just someone shooting a gun. I'm actually a shooter now. I can actually hit targets. Call out the shot, and I can hit. So I'm gonna take that to the shotgun, take that to the rifle, in range, in a competition aspect where you got to move, because I do want to get to that point. I do want to start. Hey, one deer, dude, that'll last you 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, go get a big elk or a moose.
Yeah.
Those things are fucking big, man. I don't know if you've ever seen one in person.
Oh, they're huge.
They're fucking giant.
Yeah. Something like that. You get something, then you start trading off with people. Oh, you've got some chickens that you've been doing?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing some chickens out there in North Carolina. In the northern end of Carolina, I should say.
That's right. That's right, man. Right. Well, and so along the same lines, it's also a challenge. Like I've not done it. I've shot weapons. I did a lot of target shooting when I was young with a 22 long rifle, but but I've not actually killed something with the intent of eating it, because I have no other food source. I mean, that's what Sun Tzu would define as death ground almost, right? Because that is your food, right? And I think that maybe that's an experience. I don't know how else to say this, because I do think it's true. I think it's an experience as a man that I think I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to start becoming a little bit more self-sufficient.
Exactly. Well stated.
And I don't want to have to rely on other, canning, growing vegetables, you name it. How to be able to create a still so that way I can purify water in the event that I need to.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm just going to start doing it. Because otherwise I'll just have to make beer all the time, and I'm fine with that too, because at least then I know it's not going to kill me.
That's right. Well, I mean, that's kind of where the idea of fermentation came from, right?
Yeah.
At least in the Middle Ages, within the Christian mythos.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not knocking my understanding of history. That's exactly why people had wine skins and brewing beer and so forth and so on.
Right. Because I'm not going to complain about that. Once it fermented, there was nothing in there that was going to kill you.
That's right. As long as you didn't drink too much.
True.
But there's going to be a lot of failure along the way. And so how do you respond to failure? Well, you just don't do that again, right? You iterate off that.
I adapt. I overcome.
Right. Because, the interesting thing about failure is we force this binary of failure and success. And there's actually a very complicated nuance to both. Failure isn't just it completely went south, like the sink thing I was talking about. The drain worked fine. And that was actually where I had to do some real surgery with some PVC and readjusting lines and stuff. It was just a leak on one small piece. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't a total failure. It was just a failure.
Which could have been disastrous if you had not detected it.
Well, sure, man. Sure. Yeah. Oh, water damage, man. I mean, that doesn't take long to cause problems.
Not at all.
Especially in this climate, man. You start getting black mold fast.
Whew. Absolutely.
Dude, it's hot here, but I like it, man. I'll tell you this. I've always liked leaving California this time of year and going to the East Coast and getting back into the humidity because I grew up in it. And man, it's refreshing. It's hot. Don't get me wrong. It's a little stifling, but getting out of that dry, arid climate, being around these trees and these mountains, man, I shed a little tear when I drove up.
I bet. Now all you got to do is get yourself a motorcycle. You'll fit right in.
Screw that. I'm getting a horse. Across the tobacco field, the uncle.
A Clydesdale?
No, like a big draft war horse, man.
Get your hat. Get a little straw coming out.
Oh, no. No, a helmet with a visor. Dude, the uncle across the field has, I think there's 5 of them over right now. Horses.
Oh, then you gotta get yourself a good revolver.
I don't know about all that, man.
Yeah, you gotta get and I got the perfect one for you. It's the one I've got from. I'm probably brutalizing. It's an Italian gun from Chiappa Arms, the Charging Rhino.
Oh man.
It's a 9mm double action revolver, and it's pretty badass. Because it's about like this.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, I'm actually interested. Let's explore this from if you got a minute, man.
Yeah,
If you've thought about hunting, have you thought about hunting with firearms or with bow?
I thought about both. There's an aspect. I mean, because I I do want to try to do it with a bow, but that'll be probably later. Because first, my first aspect is, and I'll just put it out there. I'm wondering if I can actually skin this thing and prepare the meat without throwing up all the time.
Well, listen, man, it's an intense experience.
Yeah, but that's my first part. I feel extremely comfortable no matter what weapon you put in my hand. I'll figure it out. I'll get out there. I will practice no matter what. Crossbow, bow, an arrow, gun. I don't care. But that's the easiest part to me. This deer might weigh 400 pounds. I don't know. How the hell am I going to get this thing back to wherever and transport it?
Yeah, man, you got to carry it or drag it.
Yeah.
Or pay somebody. So that's an interesting question though, because you can get like porters and they'll carry it, or you can pay butchers to butcher it for you. Does that still count? I've thought about that and I don't know.
I think it still counts because you're basically trading service of some type.
Right.
But I'm going to figure out all of it. Like if I'm going to take it to a butcher, I'm going to ask him or her, what are you doing?
Yeah, I want to watch. I want to stand there and help.
Yeah. I'm not, because the other part is like, all right, now I'm transporting this carcass. What about wolves? What about some other creature coming and trying to take my kill?
Yeah, well, that's a serious concern. I mean, at least coyotes. Coyotes are in every state in the country.
Yeah.
That's no joke. I mean, they're in Manhattan. There's coyotes everywhere.
So, I mean, these are all things that I've been thinking about. So the kill part's the easy part. It's what am I going to do after that? I mean, I'm not so much into the put the head up on something like that. I'm not looking to do that.
No, I don't want to trophy hunt. I have no interest in
that. No, I'm not looking to do any of that. I want to do this to be like, all right, I've got my kill. I'm good. I'm good for the winter.
The other thing I've thought about, man, is
I love me some deer jerky.
Oh, venison is so. I love venison trail, like the tube of like a sausage.
Yeah.
Man, I had that a lot as a kid because I had friends that hunted. I mean, I grew up in an area where you got time off of school in deer season to go hunt. Now, I never did that because I didn't hunt, but I had friends that did. I know that's a little rednecky, but dude, it's just the culture. And people went and killed their food, and they would kill multiple deer a season because you had bow season, musket season, muskets, man.
Yeah, black powder.
Yes, and then rifle or shotgun slug. I don't remember what it was. They might have been two separate ones actually. I don't know, but they would get permits for each of those seasons, and they would go and they would get multiple deer. But anyway, I've actually thought, because we're definitely going to have a garden. I've always had a garden when I've had property. I just like getting into the earth and growing things and so forth and so on. Here fishing's pretty big. So what if I just go back to somewhat of a modified vegetarian diet and I have fish? So, I don't necessarily have to go kill deer and deal with some of this stuff, but I can go fish. I don't know, man. Or both. There's no reason you can't do both.
You could fish, then you could smoke it, vacuum seal it, so that you can put it in the freezer. That'll last you all winter if you get enough.
Yeah. You can also ferment fish.
Yeah, sure. Could do that too. Ferment it. I mean, pickle it.
Yeah, exactly.
Any of those things and be perfectly fine. Why not? I mean, that's something. Those are things that I've seriously thought about doing because it's getting into fishing season here now, and I got a smoker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's take 30 pounds of fish. 30 pounds of fish is a lot of fish.
It actually is, yeah, man. Well, look,
30 pounds of ready to go smoked fish.
Right. And so this is just a general comment. It's not directed towards anybody in particular, but I think as a culture, we could do with eating less. You know what I mean? It just conceptually, we don't need as much food as we actually think we do to survive. I mean, our ancestors survived on far less.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know, man. We should maybe have an offline conversation about this because. So this is the thing. So like, I've never.
I've got some people around here that are some avid hunters that will gladly take us out.
Well, I have a neighbor that's a huge fisherman. So same thing here. I mean, he goes all the time. He's part of the family. I just talked to him this afternoon at one of the parties. What's interesting, man, is because I've never really fished either. And I think fishing, like catching the fish, is way more complicated than hunting for a deer in terms of like the mechanics, how to execute it, so forth and so on. I think it's harder.
I don't know. There's so much more technology around fishing right now. It's basically you can drop a line and catch a fish.
But you know what I mean, right? Because you got to get the thing on there, and then you got to get it, whatever. But I think killing the fish and scaling it is way easier than gutting a mammal, man.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right because I have no problem cutting that fish up.
Zero.
One, it doesn't smell. At least my imagination is going in there with a deer or an elk or moose, whatever. I have imagination that it probably smells really bad.
Well, man,
I know that I have a bad reaction to things that smell bad. But that's okay because if I have to, I will just keep throwing up. I'm not going to stop. I will figure it out.
Man, if we get some dudes together, you can get guided hunting trips.
Yeah.
Like up in Wyoming or Montana or Colorado. Anywhere. My brother used to do it. When my brother lived up in the mountains in Colorado, he would take people.
We could easily find some stuff to be able to do that. And then they would probably butcher it up and send it to us.
They do. You buy the permits, and I think, man, they'll even like let you use a gun or whatever you want. You know what I mean? But like I would want to get it and master it. I want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know for a fact they'll haul it out for you. They'll butcher it, and then you'll ship it to wherever you want.
And I don't mind doing that for the first couple of times to see like what am I supposed to do.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm going to read on it anyway.
It's just like in technology, when I've worked in technology and I've brought in consultants, I don't bring them in to do the work necessarily for me. And then I just let them do whatever they do and they leave. I've always used consultants in to come in and somewhat in some way train me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do because I consider that person they're a consultant. You're teaching me how to hunt and butcher and maintain game.
That's right.
Well, there's states like Carolina that have massive overpopulation of deer. I'm sure there's still places that will pay you. For pelts and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, you could do trapping in a lot of states too, for that matter. But
yeah, see, man, I don't know if I'm down with that though. That's a little.
How are you gonna be the king of the North if all of a sudden you don't have like pelts and pelts and pelts on it?
I'll make them out of. I'll go back and be like the Druid Green Man. I'll just make it out of branches.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm dead serious, man.
Same. That's one of the reasons why I've got that Charging Rhino revolver because I'm going to start camping this year. I've never camped.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
See, we love camping. We used to go all the time.
Never done it.
Oh, fuck, man. We should get together, all of us.
Yeah.
Because we have gear. We need a new tent now because our tent is a 2-person tent. Now we have the kid.
Yep. Absolutely.
There's tons of places.
Plan something here.
We started talking about buying other property, and I found some stuff when I was driving through Tennessee. I would get property up in the mountains.
Yeah, why not?
Fuck yeah! I mean, dude, there's not going to be more land. Well, that's not true because look at Hawaii. I mean, the land is being created in front of our eyes. Unfortunately, a lot of land's getting destroyed in the process. But
also, look at China. Look what they're doing.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, and the Emirates, they know how to create new land from nowhere. I guess. I don't know, man. There's like a metaphor there. Oh, dude. Wow. We went from failure to, there's a message in that. Challenge, try something, do something different that enhances your life.
What's funny is that we have never talked about that before, and yet we are both still on the same path of doing it.
Well, I think it's a natural, it seems to me to be something that's culturally becoming important. At least maybe within the same intellectual circle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Cool. All right.
Well, man, that's 65.
Woo.
So I think next week you want to try an 8 a.m.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's do Sunday next week, 8 a.m. And if anybody has any input, let us know. I'd be down for doing a midweek one too. So doing 2 a week. Do a short one like on a Wednesday or Thursday night. Just cover, like maybe a 15-minute.
We could even do one at noon.
Yeah, man. I mean, my schedule's open.
Yeah, that's true. Let's do it.
Yeah. So you want to try this week?
Yeah.
Wednesday
noon?
What's that?
Wednesday noon?
Wednesday,
let's do it.
Wednesday noon. Yeah, let's do it. Wednesday noon.
All right. Wednesday noon and then Sunday 8 a.m.
And then what I'll do is I'll start putting a pinned tweet with the schedule.
Awesome. All right, folks.
All right, everybody. That's 65 in the can.
Done in the bag.
Go ahead.
See ya, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Keep hitting us up, man. That was some good stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully by this time next week, I'll have my office ready and I'll be able to do a full cast with my usual setup, not in this little echo chamber that I'm in right now. And we'll see, man. It may not show up. I'm waiting on the door. It's a custom door.
All right. All right, folks. Everybody. Later.